Good evening, everybody, and really happy to have you all here. Thank you for staying for this amazing Q&A, and we have a real treat for you tonight. I'm sure you really enjoyed RICEBOY Sleeps, and we do have almost everyone here from the film, so it's just thrilling to have everyone here. So we have Anthony Shim, our director, over there in the corner, and of course our amazing Choi Seung-yoon, lead actress, amazing work in the film. We have Ethan Hwang as well, and Ethan plays Dong when he's young, when he's older. We're just missing the young version, and he was incredible too. So really great work on the acting side. And of course, Chris Lew, our Sheridan alumni, who's a cinematographer for the film. So welcome everybody to this Q&A. So I'd really like to start with just talking a little bit about the process of filmmaking with a film like this. This is truly the best new immigrant drama I've seen in a long time. I was very impressed with the acting, with the script. I was really impressed with the cinematography, but I'd like to just address my first question to you, Anthony, because I think you've really created a realistic experience here of what the experience of a new immigrant is. So tell us a bit about that and how that reflects back on your life.
Well, the impetus to make this film to begin with was coming from a place of having grown up and loving movies and seeing a lot of movies, but never feeling like there was anything that had really captured the experience of growing up as an immigrant in the way that I felt like it represented me in an honest way. So I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to make a film that captured emotions, captured a feeling that I felt was really honest to the experience that I had and those who I grew up with had. And so we try to really focus on the details. We try to focus on the characters and their relationships more than sort of like a larger scope, but really hone in on individuals and the details of their lives.
And you've truly done an amazing job at doing that, and that's what makes this film so effective. Speaking of the characters, Choi, tell us a little bit about your experience, because I understand this is one of your first roles, your first on-screen roles.
Yes, it was my first lead experience as a lead actress, and yeah, it was pretty amazing. When I first read the script, somehow I really could understand why Soo-young made that kind of choice in her life. And then, I'm sorry.
Okay, I have a cat too.
And then quickly, I realized that I knew this woman through my grandma and my mother. Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, so it was pretty I could connect myself to Soo-young pretty easily because for me, Soo-young was very familiar woman to me.
Yeah, and you do an absolutely incredible job at playing that character. You live that character, and I just was so impressed. And to be honest, I think this role was probably one of the best that I saw at TIFF this year. And I saw quite a few films at TIFF, so I just wanted to congratulate you on that. And Ethan, wonderful to have you here as well. And it was unexpected because I didn't know you were coming, but tell us about your experience playing this role, and you were just excellent.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, well, this role was really close to me. When I first read the script, it was something that I had gone through growing up in Canada, and it was also something that my dad had gone through because he grew up in Canada as well. So yeah, and like Anthony said, a lot of films and TV, they don't really portray and a lot of immigrant stories like realistically. And so I think when I read the script, I just thought that I had to be a part of it. And that it was a great opportunity for me to really share and connect with other people that have been through the same thing. So yeah, it's a very important role and very important movie for myself.
Absolutely. An incredibly important movie, I think. And Chris, beautiful, beautiful cinematography. I love what you did, the representation of Canada versus South Korea as well. So tell us a bit about your choices with the cinematography.
It was sort of like the moment I first read the script, the film starts with this opening monologue of a character sort of explaining or setting up the story and giving you an idea of the characters at play. But in every iteration of the script, Anthony never explicitly wrote who was speaking this monologue. And so I think him and I just discussing the ideas, we sort of came to this conclusion of, well, maybe this could be spoken, this could be the father explaining this. And then you obviously see in that opening monologue that the father has died. And so that planted the seed for an idea of, okay, well, maybe this is the spirit of the father. And it sort of just kept snowballing from there. And that informed this almost sort of spiritual observational approach to how we moved the camera through the space. And it also was contributed to the fact that Anthony and I mean, one thing that we knew we really didn't want to do or try to avoid at all cost was just conventional coverage. Just doing basic shot, reverse shot was something that we both were just felt very allergic to. So it became this, the idea of the camera being the eyes of another character in the room was sort of the base of the visual language. And then from there, it was just a lot of fun. It became, every scene sort of became figuring out this dance of the camera and the characters, and how can we not only give the feeling of the camera being another presence in the room, but also how to also emotionally enhance what's happening in the screen. Like, do we stay close to the character if one of them is going through something very emotional or very frightening, or do we stay away because the father wouldn't want to be very close to what's happening? So it was really interesting, but it all really started from this idea of the camera being like a spirit in the room with the characters.
And that's really amazing, because that's the one thing as I was watching, I was thinking the camera's another character. You've put the camera in as a character, and that's why you've got that intimacy, that overarching, I think, ability for the audience to sympathize and empathize deeply with the characters. And that's really incredible. I was really impressed with that. Anthony, tell me a little bit about working with Chris as cinematographer, about your relationship.
Was awful, really. I mean, no, Chris was really like, Chris and a composer were the two people that I reached out to at the very beginning. They're the first people that came on board for this project, because I knew those two elements of the film were going to be as important as the two leads in this film, in telling, or the three leads in our film, that, to help tell the story the way that I wanted to tell it. And to just kind of piggyback on what Chris was saying, it felt like, we both felt like it was so important that the audience experience the story from a very sort of non-judgmental, kind of observational way, so that the story doesn't feel like it's the director manipulating the audience to feel sympathy for these people. And so it was important that this character, or the camera, be almost another character within the film, and that so then the audience is able to experience the story from the eyes of this other member of the family that we don't ever see. And so, Chris and I, we had many Zoom calls over the course of many months, talking about these ideas and talking about, reference films and art pieces, and we talked more about the feeling and the effect of what we were going for, opposed to the technical elements. And so it was really wonderful to talk about those things, because I enjoy working in that way. I like to talk about things in a more holistic way, and I think Chris does as well. And it really got to the point where it felt like, well, because I mean, we both wanted Chris to operate the camera, and because Chris had been so involved in the development of this that, I remember one day I just said, I really want you to just operate from the mental and emotional place, as though you are the father in the story, and respond to what you're seeing in the moment from an instinctual place. Because although we planned and rehearsed and choreographed these sequences, we also wanted there to be a certain level of spontaneity, and a sense of a sense that the camera is like really present and it's alive and it's all happening in real time. And so, I asked Chris, I was like, just imagine you are that person. And he literally gulped. But, I think over time, throughout the process, I mean, everybody kind of fell into their roles, and we all became so comfortable that it was this like really effortless dance almost between us. And it was so much fun. I mean, I've been talking so much about this movie lately. I go like, oh, like I miss that so much. I mean, the process of working on this and making this film was such a joy, and was such a creatively so fulfilling and exciting.
And that's why it's so amazing.
Yeah, just to add to that too, it's I think one of the big things that really helped was just having the amount of time that we did to prep the film, because Anthony reached out to me, I think it must have been like in November of 2020. So it was almost a full year before I even went to Vancouver to start prepping the film properly. So it was, and that was crucial. Like, it was so important to be able to have that time to not only read drafts and have the breathing room to digest what he was trying to say and how he was, adjusting the script and developing things, and then we could discuss about characters, but also just having that time to share anything and everything. I mean, it was like, obviously, I mean, we shared things like music and photography and other films, but I mean, Anthony sent me pictures of like pottery, like authentic Korean pottery, and it's like, it maybe doesn't exactly, how does that make sense to what this film is? But it may not be very explicit or literal, but on the other hand, it was those really small details that were sort of just plucked out of anywhere and everywhere that were related to the story and the culture and the characters. It was all totally valuable in just, allowing ideas to flourish and just bounce ideas. Yeah, no, it was really, really great to have that much prep. It was really valuable.
And it really shows in the film. Like you said, the attention to detail is so important. It almost has a documentary type of realism in that sense, because it is so true to life. Ethan and Choi, tell us a little bit about your roles playing together as mother and son, because the two of you just make such an impact in your roles as a mother and a son.
When I got to know I have to work with teenager boy, I got scared. You know what I mean? I have a certain type of prejudgments about teenager boy, but after meeting Ethan, he was such a nice, gentle boy, and we hang out, and we had sushi together, and we made rehearsal a lot. So actually, we made a actual relationship. So I think that's why we could work and act organically. Like, yeah, it was really nice. How was it? How was it, Ethan?
I never, well, this was my first lead role as well. And so the pressure was there. Like the pressure was just so immense. And also the fact that the script was so close and personal to me and my family. It was like, it was like the weight of the world. And I think both Yoon and I shared that. And I think that's what really helped us connect, because we both knew that we were in this together, and we had to go through this amazing experience, yet very hard and it just took a lot of preparation. And so I think the fact that we were in that together and just going through and preparing, we created a very, very special relationship. And yeah, she's like a mother to me, and I see a lot of what Donghyun does with her mom. I can see that with how I maybe acted before with my mom as well. And it's just things that I could connect. And yeah, I guess it just made everything a lot more authentic.
And that authenticity is important. And I think that's why the film carries so much weight. I have a question. I'm always thinking about systemic racism, but also the internalization of systemic racism. And you did an amazing job at just creating that new immigrant experience and all of the small details, again, of the things that happen to the characters. And I'm wondering what the three of you, what all of you think about, are things improving in Canada, for example, for new immigrants? I know films like this are helping, but are they actually improving?
I could say, because I'm a lot younger and I'm very I'm around people my age, and it's all very diverse. So I guess for the upcoming generation, yes, it's very different. It's people are much more open to diversity, but sometimes it's still there. I mean, growing up, still, even when I would go to places, or because I grew up playing hockey, and that was a very apparent area to be, to experience that stuff, and it was so blatant. And so I guess it's something that I notice sometimes, but most of the time I feel that it's getting better, and I want to say that it is getting better, but I don't think that it's fully there yet. And I don't think, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Ethan, but I think it's important to recognize the difference between actual racism and just ignorance and lack of information. Because I think sometimes, certain things that we perceive as being racially insensitive or even racist, I don't think it actually is, because I don't think it's coming from a hateful place. I think a lot of the times it's just coming from the individual not knowing any better. And so I think it's dangerous and unfair to just categorize all of it as just racism. And I think if we do that as a society, it doesn't allow for growth to happen in a healthy manner. So I think it's important to identify the difference. And if a person is racist and if a person is hateful, I'm not sure what we could do for that person. But if a person does not have the information, then we as a society, as a community, can help one another, help educate, help share. And I think that's where things like films like ours come into play, is that it allows people to go, oh, just because you're from a different background and speak a different language and have a different culture, doesn't mean that we can't connect on an emotional level. And I think it allows us as a society to break down some of the barriers and help improve that way.
And what I experienced in Canada during staying for shooting for 2 months, because I'm not an immigrant, so that I'm Korean. I born in here. I raised up here, but when I'm shooting, I notice very weird emotion inside of myself, like as a stranger, but it didn't come from the others. Just the whole setting is just so different than Korea. So just I felt that way, even though no one like says, yeah, you're different, whatever. So for me, that was, yeah, also not only about the racism or harassing or, but yeah, just, yeah, how can I conclude this conversation? But yeah, do you understand what I mean? Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I do understand what you're saying. And I think part of what you're all saying too is that this, what's so effective about the film is that it very subtly shows the things that are happening to immigrants, that people may not understand that they're doing something that, you know, is making them feel like, you know, you feel if you, for example, the scene with Ethan where you have to bring, you know, sandwiches for lunch instead of Korean food. So it's like, it's stuff like that that just, that's why I was saying it's more like systemic stuff, because people don't understand that they're making people feel that way, or that they're making them feel different. It's not really the other so much. It's just, I think films like this are so important because I think they are directing people to think in terms of, oh, you know, okay, now I get that, you know, now I get how that would make somebody feel small, or understand the relationships, or understand, I think, the intricacies and the amazing way that all the different cultures that we have in Canada, and how, you know, people are different, but how they're all the same. I think that's what's really amazing about this film. And again, this has been an amazing Q&A. Thank you very much. And I just have one last thing I want to say, and that is the ending. I'm sure some people are left thinking with the ending, well, what is home? You know, is it Canada or is it Korea, or does it matter? Anthony, could you just speak as director briefly to that?
I mean, I think home is ultimately where your loved ones are, and where you feel like you can be you, you know, and live your truth. I think that's home. It's not a geographical location. It's exactly that. And it's a search of that specific kind of home that these characters go on throughout throughout this film.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly, and that's what I took from the ending. I thought, hey, you know, home is where you cast, where your hat is, where you want to be. And I just think you did an amazing job with this film. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming for this Q&A. And everybody, and thank you for our audience for staying and for enjoying it with us. Thank you to Sheridan College for being our partner and sponsor for this event. And thank you for film.ca as well for allowing us to screen this incredible film. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.